Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the dark underbelly of society, peeling back the gilded facade of the super rich to expose the grotesque truths lurking beneath. We're talking about the kind of people who'd sooner buy a second mega yacht than pay their fair share of taxes, the kind who see workers' rights as something to be trampled on, not upheld. Buckle up, because things are about to get ethically dubious. You see, we've been fed this narrative that the super rich, they're just like us. They put their pants on one leg at a time. Except their pants are probably made of spun unicorn tears woven by a team of highly trained pygmy marmosets. But here's the thing, they're not like us, not even close. They play by a different set of rules, a set that often involves exploiting loopholes the size of the Grand Canyon to dodge taxes and treating the planet like their own personal garbage disposal. Over the next few minutes, we're going to shine a light on the morally bankrupt practices, the blatant hypocrisy, and the downright shady dealings that allow the super rich to amass obscene wealth, while the rest of us are stuck scraping by. Consider this your crash course in everything they don't want you to know about. You might want to grab a bucket because you're about to get a whole lot of ethically questionable behavior vomited onto your screen. Stay tuned! Let's start with the oldest trick in the super rich playbook, tax evasion. You see, for these financial wizards, taxes aren't a civic duty, they're more like an optional donation, one they'd rather give to their offshore bank accounts than, fund public services. We're talking about a complex web of shell corporations, trusts tucked away in tropical tax havens, and enough legal loopholes to make a Swiss cheese blush. Now, you might be thinking, isn't that, illegal? And to that, I say, technically, yes. But when you've got an army of high-priced lawyers and accountants who could make the devil's tax returns look squeaky clean, legality becomes a bit of a grey area. They'll tell you it's all perfectly above board, all while stashing away more money than most countries see in a decade. And the worst part? This isn't some victimless financial crime. Every dollar they squirrel away in the Cayman Islands is a dollar less for schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. It's a slap in the face to every hard-working individual who dutifully pays their taxes year after year. Let's talk about labor practices, shall we? Because nothing says I'm a benevolent billionaire like squeezing every last drop of productivity out of your workforce while paying them barely enough to afford a moldy loaf of bread. These are the same people who preach about the dignity of work while simultaneously lobbying against minimum wage increases and crushing any attempt at unionization. They'll tell you it's all about efficiency and maximizing shareholder value, but let's be honest, it's just greed dressed up in a Brooks Brothers suit. They see their employees not as human beings with needs and families, but as expendable cogs in their money-making machine. And if a few cogs get ground down in the process, well, that's just the cost of doing business, darling. Meanwhile, they're off on their mega yachts, sipping champagne that probably costs more than your entire wardrobe, blissfully unaware of, or perhaps just indifferent to, the struggles of the people who actually make their wealth possible. Now, let's talk about the unholy alliance between the super rich and the political elite. Because when you've got more money than God, why not buy yourself a politician or two, or three, or a whole political party while you're at it? Campaign contributions, lobbying efforts, backroom deals, you name it, they've got their perfectly manicured fingers in it. And they'll tell you it's about supporting candidates who share their values, but let's be real, it's about buying influence and shaping legislation that benefits their bottom line, even if it means screwing over the rest of us. They're essentially playing real-life SimCity, except instead of building parks and schools, they're rigging the system in their favor and leaving the rest of us to deal with the consequences. And the saddest part, it seems to be working. From tax breaks for the ultra-wealthy to deregulation that makes the Wild West look tame, the fingerprints of the super rich are all over our laws and policies. Let's not forget about the environment, shall we? Because when you're rich enough to buy your own oxygen supply, who cares if the planet burns, right? These are the folks who preach about sustainability, while jet-setting around the world in their private planes, leaving behind a carbon footprint the size of Godzilla. They'll tell you they're investing in green technology, but it often feels like a band-aid on a gaping wound. a PR stunt to appease the environmentally conscious, while they continue to rake in profits from industries that are actively destroying our planet. It's like trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun. And as the climate crisis worsens, who do you think will bear the brunt of it? Spoiler alert, it's not going to be the folks chilling in their climate-controlled mansions. It's going to be the poorest and most vulnerable among us, the ones who contributed the least to the problem, but are forced to suffer the most from its consequences. And finally, let's talk about the lifestyles of the rich and shameless, because when you've amassed more wealth than you could ever possibly spend, you've got to find creative ways to flaunt it, right? We're talking about a world of private islands, diamond-encrusted dog collars, and parties so lavish they make Gatsby look like a pauper. They'll tell you it's just their way of enjoying the fruits of their labor, but it's hard not to see it as a giant middle finger to the rest of us who are struggling to make ends meet. It's a constant reminder of the grotesque inequality that permeates our society, a slap in the face to the millions who are struggling to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. But hey, at least we get to live vicariously through their Instagram feeds, right? Because nothing says I'm relatable like a photo of you lounging on a yacht in the Mediterranean, sipping champagne and casually forgetting what it's like to have student loan debt. So there you have it. A glimpse into the ethically murky world of the super rich. We've exposed their tax-dodging schemes, their questionable labor practices, their stranglehold on politics, their disregard for the environment, and their obscene displays of wealth. It's enough to make you want to storm their ivory towers with pitchforks and torches. But before you do, remember this: awareness is the first step towards change. By shedding light on these injustices, by calling out their hypocrisy and holding them accountable, we can start to create a more just and equitable society for everyone. Don't let their wealth and power intimidate you. Remember, they might have all the money, but we have the power of numbers. Thanks for watching. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.